The deal is done. Ukrainian grain can sail from its port. This after a landmark accord was signed in Istanbul. Russia and Ukraine signed the much-awaited grain deal with Turkey and the United Nations. The deal will help reopen Ukrainian Black Sea ports for grain export. This has raised hopes that a global food crisis aggravated by the war can now be eased. The Russian Defense Minister and Ukrainian Infrastructure Minister each signed separate but identical agreements. This is because Kiev officials did not want to put their names on the same document as the Russians because of the war. The Russian's defense minister promised that Moscow would not take advantage of the demined Ukrainian ports. Elated at the sight of leaders of the two warring nations sitting across the same table in Istanbul, the United Nations chief called the deal a beacon of hope. Listen in.
Today, there is a beacon on the Black Sea, a beacon of hope, a beacon of possibility, a beacon of relief in a world that needs it more than ever. I want to recognize and thank all those who helped make it happen.
Meanwhile, the Turkey President Erdogan said that the deal will help prevent famine and ease global food inflation and called on Russia and Ukraine to end the conflict. As the deal was sealed, Africa took a sigh of relief as the grain blockade has now led to a global food crisis, with African nations suffering the most. The presidents of South Africa and the Ivory Coast said that the African leaders need to use this conflict as a wake-up call for self-sufficiency.
Indiqué d'ailleurs au président Zelensky que je souhaitais que l'approvisionnement se fasse en priorité vers le continent africain, en raison de la fragilité des économies et de la situation sociale dans beaucoup de pays.
Our continued reliance on massive amounts of grains from that theater of the world or that part of the world should be seen as a risk and a real danger to African countries, 1.3 billion people. We therefore need to use this conflict as a wake-up call.
The deal will enable Ukraine to export 22 million tons of grain and other agricultural products that have been stuck in the Black Sea ports due to the war, the blockade of Ukrainian ports by Russia's Black Sea fleet, trapping tens of millions of tons of grain in storehouses and stranding many ships, which has worsened the global supply chain, with the Western sanctions giving space to inflation in food and energy prices around the world. WION World is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news updates on the move.